Welcome to Widow Too Soon. This is one of your hosts, Michelle Bader. Mark Massaro is out of town. He'll be back next week on our next episode. So welcome today to the conclusion of Widowed by Cancer with Kate Sladek. As you guys saw in the last episode, very amazing, her story of faith, all that she has been through. And I know you guys are going to enjoy what we have today. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy this conclusion, and we'll talk to you next time.
Here I am sick, taking care of the kids here at home. And it was during like one late night. I'm such a night owl. It was during one late night of doing laundry. And I thought, haven't done a self-breast exam in a while, like maybe I should pay attention to myself for, half a second here. And I felt something different and was like, you know what? I'm going to go, and I knew it was a virus, but I was like, I'm going to go get some antibiotics for the heck of it, and I'll have her check this out too. And my PA wrote me like, she knew my schedule, knew I was trying my hardest to get back to the hospital, was like, here for mammogram, ultrasound, and fine needle aspirate, basically biopsy. Just here, you can have get all these orders and let's get this looked into before you get back into the hospital, And I did. And I knew, again, with my veterinary medical background, taking like one look at their faces and having what felt like 200 mammo images and then being sent right to ultrasound, I just knew, So it did turn out I had breast cancer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer that June. I didn't tell anybody. I brought like my two really good friends with me to the hospital on that day. And then, they tried saying, can you come back next week and we'll do some biopsies? And I was like, no, I can't. I need to be with my husband. Can you please do them now? Like, who can I talk to? Well, there were some really wonderful doctors who gave up their lunches to do my biopsies. And we all knew it was cancer, just based on the look of it. And then it turned out and I didn't tell Brian, I didn't tell our parents, which also was very hard, and I just simply didn't want to deal with it, really. I was like, I could deal with this later. Like, he's more pressing. And then it turned out that they did want to do another MRI and I needed more biopsies. And it turned out that I had two different tumor biologies of breast cancer. And because of Brian's treatment and because of his experience, I got multiple opinions, which was also very frustrating to my parents, I'm sure, and his parents. And so this was all while he was in the hospital, that I was trying to cram this in, that I was calling people, calling different facilities, pleading to get in and explaining my situation. And they were all wonderful and got me in ASAP. So when he came home from the hospital, and when he was, like I said, it was the end of July, I had one round under my belt. And I decided to go with a more integrative approach. So I decided to go to the Block Center in Skokie, Illinois. It's on the north side of Chicago, and where they do IV vitamin C, IV curcumin, IV quercetin, resveratrol, which is in red wine. People know that word from red wine. Glutathione, and a concentrated multivitamin. So other institutions, there was only one other one that had an integrated medicine program. And they wanted me to stop all supplementation and all integrative therapies before, during, and after chemo. And where the Block Center was like, no, this is when we ramp you up. And there is research to support this as well. So,
absolutely.
Yes.
At this point, had you told Brian that you had cancer?
So I told him, because I told him actually on Father's Day, which really sucked. It's all flooding back to me. Yes, because I had to leave for appointments. And I remember him looking at me once or twice being like, really, you're leaving right now? And so it did get to the point where I was like, I can't not tell him. And I told him on Father's Day, after the kids and our parents left, and we talked, and I didn't want to drop this bomb, but like, I didn't want to set him back in his recovery, and I knew it would. And it ended up being his last journal entry that he ever wrote was when he was home here and was reflecting on the day that I told him that I had breast cancer when he was in the hospital, which gave me his perspective and is like really moving and heartbreaking, you know, of course.
Sure, yeah. Treasure and also very difficult at the same
totally.
time.
Absolutely. And him saying like, I want to be there for, I want to go with to doctor's appointments. I want to hold her hair back, you know, when she's sick from chemo, I want to, and then he's like, who am I kidding? You know, or something about physical limitations. But I've proven before that my will can be stronger than my physical limitations. And then, you know, but we'll see this time, you know, something like that, like, oh, you know, just,
oh man,
just so heart-wrenching. And like, you know, it was, but of course I didn't know he wrote this. And I remember the night that he wrote it, he was like, hey, can you grab my journal? And I was like, yeah. And I was all excited that he like wanted to write. And I got him his guitar and his tuner. And, you know, and I thought, oh, these are amazing signs. Like, this is such a good sign, you know? And it wasn't like 48 hours later that I had to like call the paramedics for him. And it turned out he was septic, and we could not get him to our medical family, you know, in the city, University of Chicago. And he was at a suburban, I said hotel, very expensive hotel, right? A suburban hospital. And I was really displeased with, I mean, the writing was on the wall, but I was really displeased how things were handled. They did not have an ICU doctor. It was, they kept saying EICU. And I'm like, what the hell is EICU? And they're like, oh, we don't have anyone physically here. Like, see that monitor? And I'm like, you've got to be kidding. What if someone codes? Where's your attending?
Right.
Like, what? I mean, and I'm like, you know, anyway, so you can imagine how stressful it all was, you know? But it happened very quickly. We brought him in on a Monday, and he died Tuesday, August 27th. Which was my mom's birthday. And we had his rooted guys around, but I was still in this like life-saving mode. Like, you know, we had the medevac people from University of Chicago, like the helicopter crew was here with us. Like, we were going to move him to University of Chicago, you know? And yeah, he said no. You know, and I know they probably would have kept him alive on life support. And that's not how he would have wanted it to be, you know, and I know ultimately he would have died, you know, and this was definitely more his way, you know. And I still had 4 more rounds of chemo after that. And
so you had to go through the grief of losing your husband while you still had to face the chemotherapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was it was a blur, and it was really, really hard. It's like still a blur. I mean, I feel like just now, over 2 years later, I feel like I'm finally emerging like from this fog. But yeah, it was all a blur, and just heartbreaking and just functioning, right? You're just like in survival mode. And I remember when I was kind of sick, I didn't get too sick from chemo, but I do remember being just exhausted, and like him and I laying in bed together, and my mom and my aunt organizing medical supplies in our bedroom for us, like while we're like watching TV. And I remember going, I could do this. As long as I have him here, I could do this. Like, we were always saying things like that to each other. Like, you're my rock. I'm your rock. As long as I have you, as long as we're together, like all of that. And after he died, I really felt like this is such bullshit. You know, I was with him for every single step of the way. Through all his diagnoses, as like first as a friend, and then as his like life partner and soulmate and partner in crime and parent, all of that. And I'm going, how unfair is this, that now I have to go through it without him? That was really the source of like a lot of my anger.
Yeah, sure.
But I think that was the hardest thing, like that caused me to like really be angry. And I wasn't necessarily angry at God. I really came to terms with that. I don't believe the phrase, and I could like have several adjectives before this. God doesn't give you, or what is it? God doesn't give you what? God
More
gives
than
you
you
what
can handle.
More than you can handle.
We
like,
just talked about that.
Did you really? Like, we used to hate that so much with a passion. And I feel like God did not say, I'm giving you cancer. I truly don't believe that. We believe that our belief was that, disease and wrongdoing and sin, like all of these terrible things came about because of sin, right? This is our belief. And
we live in a fallen world.
Exactly. But I do believe that he is with you every step of the way,
right,
during these things. If you can lean on him, if you can have the faith and if you can see through the trees, the weeds, whatever you want to call them, to like still lean on him, right? So I feel like that's really what carried us through, and that carried me through, because I think I really could have had some major anger issues if my faith was not where it was, and where it was
all would
died, right? Yeah. Truly. I mean, you hear about terrible things happening and you're like, how are these people even still functioning?
Something you might find entertaining is that you mentioned that God won't give you more than you can handle. We just mentioned that in our last episode titled Ridiculous Things People Say. So we really relate to that. And wow, gosh, I'm like speechless. It's such a powerful and sad, and it's just a heartbreaking trial that you've been through. And I know Michelle relates to it. I really relate to it a lot. And I didn't even have the aspect of having to deal with myself going through something, and I already felt sorry enough for myself. And I commend you for your bravery to be here and sharing this.
Of course.
It's really touching, and wow, I'm just thank you for like opening up.
Thank you for letting me. Like, yes. I feel like some people, I've never gotten the impression that people like get sick of hearing it, and I don't talk about it often, but I feel like the pity look is kind of constantly there, or the look of pity is kind of constantly there. And also just, people simply don't know what to say. Yep. And that, I feel like that's been kind of hard to deal with also. Then just say that. Say, I just really don't know what to say, but like, I want to be here for you. I don't know. Something as simple as that, right?
Yep.
But
I'm smiling because this is like almost word for word what Michelle and I talked about in the last episode. And it's just like, I'm like, man, she would have been a great guest. She'd be a great guest for Ridiculous Things People Say.
Right? Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh. We used to keep like a joke, like a journal, like a little, and
awesome.
even like for medical like staff, like somebody'd leave the room, we'd be like, write that one down.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Or whatever, like really you're gonna come in here and say that and complain your coffee's too hot or something.
Yeah, right.
It's
it's an unawareness sometimes of what's going on around them.
It's funny you say that. That's a perfect way to put that. And I used to get so mad, and Bri would be like, you know what? Good for them. They don't have to worry about this.
Yep.
And I'm like, great you're attitude. A bigger person than I am, man.
Yeah, beautiful heart.
But I've adopted that attitude. I really have. And now I'm at the point, I'm in remission.
Yay. Praise God.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think that my cancer is from chronic crisis mode stress. I truly believe that. which means that, we who are suffering and going through this grief need to step up the self-care,
right.
Whether it be, working out, yoga, retreats, massages, chiropractic care, acupuncture, like, I don't care. I'm trying to do it all. I really am,
Awesome.
No, you
That's a good
mentioned that
point.
you're going to, at some point listen to episode 1. So forgive me, because you'll hear this in there, but I hover around 165 pounds. That's my normal body weight. I was down to 118 pounds. I was sick. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. It was, there were nights, one in particular, but there were nights where I thought I was dying.
Yeah.
And my prayer to God was that, please help me help her get better before you take me home. Yeah. And it is an incredibly deeply stressful thing that it's really hard to for anybody to understand who hasn't been through how intense it is. And you probably
constant, right? Constant.
Yes, there is no let up. It's all the time, around the clock. And I remember moments just thinking, like, this is the most insane thing ever, and there's no end in sight, one way or the other. There's no end in sight. And that makes it more overwhelming, and that stresses you out more and stuff. And but like I mentioned in the beginning, or before we started recording, is that I don't really I want this to be about you, and because this is a very powerful story that you have to tell. And so I don't want to get sidetracked with me talking.
I appreciate connecting about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's helpful to hear that other people have felt or gone through something similar,
Sure. Really, yeah. I remember telling Michelle that, like, how much it touched my soul talking to her for the first time, when I could merely say she had a PET scan without having to explain what that was, or she was on prednisone without having to explain what that was, and
the side effects and what comes along with it.
And so anyways, it is good to connect with people who've had similar stories. I'm sorry, Michelle, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just wanted to say the word that comes to mind for you and Brian is warrior. Like, warriors, both of you, complete warriors. And just the love that you shared, and like that teamwork is so beautiful. And I really appreciated hearing your story, and you're helping his legacy to continue by sharing who he was, how he dealt with things, his faith. And so I think what we're doing here too is honoring our loved ones by continuing to share their stories to give other people hope. God says that he makes beauty out of ashes. And that's because you are open to sharing it, God is making something beautiful. And I know that your story is going to touch so many people, because it's a tragic but incredible story. It's a story of God's faithfulness and your strength that I know you draw from God. And because I know this is a phrase that we don't like, but I really can't imagine, like we always talk about when people say, I can't imagine, but I really can't imagine where I was at when my husband died, and then having cancer myself on top of it. And so I'm just so proud of you for the strength that I see. And then on top of that, being willing to come here, open up these like hard things to talk about again. And so I want to thank you so much for your bravery and your just who you are. And I feel like God gave me a promise after Luke died that he was going to redeem and restore everything I lost. And I feel like the same thing for you. He's going to redeem that, and however he sees fit. But this is not the end of your story. This is not the end of love for you. This is not the end of, a father for your kids. Like, I feel like God's really going to do something to, just bring it all together. And on that note, I wanted to ask, how did your kids take everything, and how are they doing now?
Yeah, I haven't talked much about them, have I, in this?
Oh, that's okay.
I mean, they were always a source of comic relief, right? But also, like, little kids make you want to pull your hair out. Like, that was like to the nth degree some days,
That's the truth. I mean,
right? Oh my gosh, Michelle, thank you for saying all those kind things. I feel like
you're welcome.
It means like so much coming from you, like coming from someone else who gets it, truly.
And she's a TikTok star.
True that.
So I've
True that.
seen.
Yeah.
I feel like the kids, I would even be mad that they would like, gotta get out of bed today for them, you know.
Yeah.
And there were those times I just want to freaking lay in bed. That's all I
Yep.
want to do for like just a day. I'm not talking like, you know, a week, not even a few days, just like a day, you know.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
but they really, you know, they make us function. They keep us on our toes. They, and I have had them since Brian was sick, since they were little, probably 3. I mean, he was diagnosed when they were 2.5. So probably 3, I started taking them to this place called the Wellness House here on the west side of Chicago. And they're free cancer support services, and they are absolutely phenomenal. And through COVID, they're like 46 countries, like people zooming in, and they have workout classes. They have individual therapy, group counseling, couples counseling. They have a kids group. They have bereavement groups. I mean, you name it, they have it. They have a dietitian who is phenomenal, better than any dietitian I've ever met in any of these hospitals. Okay, sidebar, that doesn't push all of the like Boost, Ensure, Nestle products that are full of carbs that turn to sugars that your body does not need because cancer feeds off of sugar. Anyway.
Right. No,
Right.
Correct.
Right. So, so they have that wonderful dietitian. They have exercise classes. They have a Reiki people who do Reiki, acupuncture, people who will come and do your hair, like
wow.
beauty tips, like, and then they have education.
Where are they located?
I know.
Right. So they're in Hinsdale, and it's called the Wellness House. And I actually just did a speaking event for them for their major fundraiser, their gala that they have once a year, because I wanted to give back and like, but not do that monetarily. So I wanted to help out in this way, you know.
That's awesome.
But regardless, the kids have been going there. We both have been going there. So he would go to his patient group. I would go to the caregiver group, and the kids would go to their turtles group, which is, you know, just their kids with a parent with cancer, you know. And now I'm in the bereavement group for parents with young kids, and the kids are in their turtles bereavement group. So like they're 6 to 10, and we meet once a week, even through COVID, online. We're starting to get back into person again. But I mean, talk about tools and resources. I was calling their child life specialist throughout Brian's hospitalizations just to like bounce off ideas. And oh my God, Vivi said this to me today. What God do I tell her? Like, what do I say to these kids? I know what I want to say. I don't want to be too wordy, you know, and man, they would give us books and came to the house the day after Brian died and came to his wake and had a kids section set with this great book that we still have, a scrapbook, so that kids could write notes, and there were pictures of us as a family. And I mean, I can't say enough about this organization, obviously, but it was absolutely imperative. I do not know what I would have done without having them to like call or email on a whim. And these services are out there, and I think a lot of people don't realize it, but they are out there. And not to mention, we ended up, when Bri was, you know, still alive, we ended up prioritizing our wellness house appointments in groups before his doctor's appointments, even scans, because like that's how important it was for us to like function as a family unit, you know, and to like keep our heads on straight through all this, you know.
Wow. What an incredible story.
Yeah, the kids are just, you know, and they're great. Like we're over 2 years. I still have the posters from, and they're very tasteful, you know, I still have the posters from Brian's services around the house because I still see them stopping, playing with Legos, reading in front of these posters. So that's kind of how and they're both very different. My son, introvert, just like Brian, super quiet until he like has an outburst, gets really upset or hurt or angry. But my daughter, just like me, will talk and talk and talk and ask questions, especially when I'm not comfortable answering, and you know, about daddy and cancer and disease. But I really truly believe that this has already made them more like compassionate, empathetic little people, you know?
Wow.
Sorry, I'm like rambling so long.
No, it's beautiful.
This is your story. It's not rambling. It's beautiful, and you have a beautiful heart and soul, and I can just feel it. And we always, Michelle and I always talk about that. We can't see the whole picture because we're not God. We're inside of time. We're not outside of time. And I just can't help when I hear these stories to just think like what God might be having planned for your children because of what they've experienced, and what kind of good they can do in the world. And
absolutely,
it doesn't take the pain away. It doesn't make the pain any less real, but it's like, because I think the same thing about my kids. My daughter is like, she's just like her mommy. She has her mommy's heart, and she just always wants to serve and love people. And, I could say a lot about my son too, but like, it's just, my daughter really reminds me of mommy so much. And I'm like, man, she is just a light to the world. Everywhere we go, she makes friends. Everywhere we go, she wants to give things to people and do gifts, give gifts to people and make gifts to people and give away her toys. And like, she's just got this incredible heart where I'm like, wow, like, who knows what, the plans are for her future because of the incredibly difficult things that she has witnessed and lived through and grieved. We still grieve, of course, right? But and I also couldn't help but think, when you were talking, I was putting together a timeline. I was like, man, so you were either still going through chemo or just finishing it, still obviously grieving when COVID started.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, gosh, like, because I know how hard it was for Michelle and I. We lost our spouses during COVID, couldn't have funerals, that had its own element, couldn't be with them in the hospital.
My gosh, I can't imagine that.
But at the beginning of COVID was a very dark and scary time. At least for me, it was just kind of like, what is going on? Like, there's something very not normal here going on. And it just was like, wow, like, but I still had my priority of Lacey to take care of, to not think about that stuff. I just couldn't. I didn't have that luxury to even be concerned what was going on.
Right.
And so I pictured having lost her, basically I put myself in your shoes as best I could. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, to have all that start, like, while you're grieving, and you don't have this person that you've been, especially, not in any sexist way or whatever, but like, as a woman, like, your man is your protector generally. And to not have your protector there for you, and it just, my heart is just really grieved for you hearing this story. But I'm like Michelle, I'm really proud of you for, that I still see a smile on your face, and you have such a beautiful laugh. And I can just see through the pain, I can see a lot of joy, and I can see Christ's love. And I just, I don't want to toot your horn too much to make you feel uncomfortable, because I don't know how you are about that, but I just give God glory for what I see in you. And it's a beautiful thing that I think will help many people. And so, yeah.
Thank you so much. That does make me extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, I understand it. You're so awesome. Let's talk about how awesome you are.
You're amazing.
I'm the same way. I don't like the feeling of being the center of attention.
My gosh.
And it's just like, it makes me uncomfortable.
That being said, that is like, I do feel like you said, Michelle, I want to carry on Brian's legacy of like being an advocate for patients and helping people. And Mark, like I really just want to help people going forward in any way that I can, who might be in any similar position or feeling like the same, like loneliness or grief or decision making that needs to be done, and having these little kids and what to say and what to do. And also, I do truly believe, I hope that there is love in my future. I feel like I just, and that's something that I do have faith about. I have some friends that are single and parents and are very frustrated right now. And I feel like I've just went like, it'll happen. Like, I know God will do great things. Will do great things that I can't even imagine. And it's hard because, I don't want to compare, and I never will. Like, I mean, never say never, but I know that you're not supposed to. Like, I don't want to ever compare, because it was a different life. It was a different love and all that. But I truly hope that there is, love again in my future and for my kids, and sooner than later, and like all that stuff.
So shout out to all you widowers that are listening. No, I'm just kidding.
Her number is.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
I'm sorry. I had to make fun of that, but
yeah, that's so funny. But it really, I mean, as Mark and I are both in a place where we're experiencing like new relationships since our spouses, and it's
I've heard.
beautiful.
I'm excited for you both. I'm really excited for you both. I was like so happy to
so
like hear about that.
Yeah,
both of you.
It's been an interesting journey, and like mine is like super new. I'll be more open about it very soon, but it's just like this past week, God just like thing after thing after thing, everything just worked. And this was not something like, it's somebody I knew from college. It's not like it was a dating app, and it was just like God. It was like suggested friend, like, you may know this person, and we reconnected, and here we are. So it's like God will bring it in his way and his timing. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm sure it will happen for you too.
I
and
believe it will.
Yeah, it's just amazing, which I'm like on cloud 9 right now. So
happy for you.
Thank you. It's so good.
It's
so
wonderful.
Yeah.
It's, it's strange because it's like you go through this phase of like wondering, am I going to be alone forever?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you're not, out of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
And it's I remember, but it's hard. It is hard. Like, even, you meet someone, you're going to go through a lot when you do. But that's okay. It's all part of it, But yeah, I feel really confident that you're going to meet somebody, and you're going to be swept off your feet, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is like, and such an amazing man. I couldn't have asked, because our spouses were perfect for us. We all feel that. And, but then this new season of life starts where you need a different kind of person, because you're in a different kind of life now.
Yeah.
And now you need a person who's going to be really understanding and really compassionate to the fact that you still love your husband.
Yeah.
And,
sure. And always will,
Yeah.
They have to
and that requires a different person. I don't know how to explain exactly what's on my brain, but like, we just roll with the punches in life. And I mean, our goal is the kingdom anyways. And, one day at a time, but I do feel really confident that you're going to meet somebody. And I think it's going to be when you least expect it. And it's just going to be out of nowhere. And you're going to be like, whoa, I never even thought of that. So
exactly.
Thanks.
And I will pray for it. I can hear it that you, are excited for that, as we all are, because it sucks being alone. Let's just be real. It sucks being alone and doing everything by yourself. And so well, anyways, I thank you so much.
Thank
what
you.
A deeply touching story. I'm going to be thinking about this for weeks to come.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's a little cathartic to talk about it, with people who understand on many different levels. So thank you so much. Really.
Well, this doesn't have to be the end for us. Reach out anytime, and you can friend me on Facebook if you want to. Don't leave me in the dark. But no, really, if you just, like we tell all our listeners, if you ever just want somebody to talk to or whatever, like, you can message us, and we get it, So, I might not be awake if it's 2 a.m, but I will reply at some point, if you're up late or whatever. But please feel free to reach out to either one of us, or just to our Facebook page. And we'll, and also we've thought about doing like posts on our Facebook page to get other people to meet each other through here, to like, we've had people become friends through this ministry that we're trying to accomplish or whatever, where other people have just totally randomly become friends in the comment section. And that's a pretty cool feeling. That's like, whoa, like God kind of brought these people together through us. So anyways, I don't, mean to go off on that, but so
I'm feeling the makings of a retreat.
That's exactly what I was
Hey.
about to say. Is that something that we have talked about
Right?
doing?
that's a good
cool.
idea.
Yeah,
That's
we've
a good
actually,
idea.
talked about that before as something that we want to do as an extension of this. And yeah, so
Yeah, that'd
Sure.
be super cool.
mhm.
I don't know
have
how
a
we would
place. I have a great place.
Really?
your house? You're inviting that many people to your house?
Oh, no.
Do you know a retreat, like a place for a
Come on.
retreat?
No, yes, because okay, this is a side story. It's getting
That's
so
fine.
late for you. I'm sorry.
No, late for you.
So I know, right? It's my usual. It's okay. When we moved here to Lamont, we learned of a woman who was a 3-time cancer survivor in a town over. And she had breast cancer, peritoneal cancer, which is quite rare, and then a blood cancer.
Wow.
So we wanted to meet her. And because we heard so much about her, she opened up a vegan restaurant called the Vegan Cafe, a Pilates yoga studio, and a juice bar / organic market. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
So for her 3rd diagnosis, she went to a biomedical clinic in Tijuana, did Gerson therapy.
Oh, wow.
Right. Stayed there for 3 weeks, it was, and then came home and continued like IV infusion therapy, kind of like what I'm still doing now, just to like keep my immune system up and all of that. Even, I haven't had cancer for over a year and a half, 2 years even.
Awesome.
Nice.
Anyway, so, but I'm still, I'm still trying to do these infusions to keep my immune system up. And anyway, like that's another talk too. But so we just hit it off with her. We really connected. They were going to like write a book together, like a dark humor book on cancer. And one of her life's goals was to open up a wellness retreat ranch out west. Well, she did that. And I've been out there twice since the summer. And I am going to be facilitating retreats out there.
Wow.
So, right? I'm like, how cool is this?
Yeah.
I mean, I can really dive into this, like helping others and everything we've just been talking about.
Wow. How far west?
It's in Guffey, Colorado, which a lot of people even in Colorado have not heard of Guffey, Colorado. It's a super small, quaint town.
I focused on the Colorado part. I can't front like I knew where that was.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's it's southwest of Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And it's absolutely beautiful. And they have horses and ATVs and hiking's incredible and mountains and
what's it called?
It's called Lorraine Ranch. LORRAYNE Ranch.
Look it up. Yeah.
And well, right now they're going to start. They've only had a few, 1 or 2, maybe 3 at the most, but they're going to start doing retreats next spring. So like March, April. Yeah. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be phenomenal.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Right? Yes, I agree. We'll figure something out, you guys.
People a chance to tell their stories and
yeah, and just like be
have s'mores
out, right? Be out in nature, and and nothing is like it doesn't have to be an itinerary, but
yeah,
I think it is really cool. They have like group sessions, kind of scheduled, and there's a PA on staff there. There's a social worker on staff there. So like whether it be just like widowers and widows or families or, whatever, the potential is endless. It really
That's
is.
awesome. Wow.
Yeah, we can round.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch about that for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be really neat. We've dreamed of like, branching this out. And that's why we like having guests, because Michelle and her like, I feel like we've talked about everything.
Like, what are we gonna say today?
Yeah, what are we gonna talk about? Let's talk about something. So
yeah. I mean, you could throw it on the website, like, hey, give me 3 things that you guys want to hear more about or talk more
great
about.
idea. You're full of great ideas.
It's a great idea.
It's really,
you need
really
a job?
Good.
When we start making money, we'll give you a job. No, just kidding.
Yeah, we don't make any money yet, but
internship.
We're all on an internship. But
oh, trust me, I'm in veterinary medicine. Like internships and externships are like the name of the game, right?
For sure, yeah. Well, anyways, we thank you, and
Thank
we
you,
should
you
probably
guys.
wrap up.
Yeah.
Michelle, I pray you want to, talk us out when I'm done. Okay.
Yeah, we got the routine.
Yeah, Lord, thank you so much for this powerful testimony that she had the courage, Kate had the courage to share with us. We're so grateful for her heart, and we are incredibly grateful that she is cancer free. We praise your name for that. We praise your name for all the work you've done in her heart to draw her closer to you. And we are just praying for just good lives for all of us, and just fulfilled lives, and pray for healing and love to fill our hearts. And we just thank you so much for this gift that you've given us today of getting to hear this powerful story. And we pray for everybody's well-being. And that's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. We're so glad you're here to hear this amazing story. If you would like to be a guest, we are always looking for more people who are willing to share their stories. We'd love to hear from you. You can either send us a message on Facebook that is, or you can email us at widowedtoosoon@gmail.com, or direct message on Instagram, widowedtoosoon_. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube and be our 25th person. Our YouTube
25?
our smallest growing place, but it's all good. But anyways, we appreciate you guys. If you loved the episode, if you like what we're doing here, we love if you get a little bing 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and write a little review if you want to. It helps us get the word out to other people. Our vision is to grow this so widows and widowers all over the world will feel connected to each other and not feel alone in this, because we are in a club we never wanted to be in, but while we're here, let's lock arms and support each other. So anyways, it was awesome today, and
well said.
Thanks, and we will see you again next week.
Take care, guys.
Right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.